SmartB Sports Update Podcast is brought to you by Optimum CBD. For all your rest and recovery needs, CBD products are your best bet. Go to optimumcbd.store to order now. Free delivery on all orders over $99. You must be over 18 to order. I use Optimum CBD products personally for my rest and recovery. I train 6 days a week in Jiu-Jitsu, as you've probably heard on the SmartB Sports Update Podcast. I teach, I train, I compete. And without Optimum CBD products, I wouldn't be able to do it. Optimum CBD for all your rest and recovery needs.
Well, hello Dan, how are you?
Hello John. Another day, another Bulldogs player shafted by Cameron Ciraldo.
This is crazy.
Yes.
It's one of those ones that I can't even see, like Bulldogs fans aren't even justifying it.
No.
Dropping Reed Mahoney. So just for everyone knows, Reed Mahoney has now been dropped from the team, and Toby Sexton will be playing hooker off the bench.
Yes, that's as we understand it, because he's had stints in New South Wales Cup at hooker.
So the justification I saw just now, as I was meant to be in a meeting, but it was a bit boring, so I started to read the news. Justification that has come out is because last week when Bronson Cherry got injured, they had to move, what's his name, Hayward?
Yes, they moved Bailey Hayward into the centres when Cherry got injured, and because they had Reed Mahoney there on the bench, they went, all right, well, Reed Mahoney can just slot into hooker.
And what they found, this is their findings, is that there was way less communication and the team lacked to go forward with Mahoney at hooker over Hayward.
Yeah, what you read, that came from Dave Riccio at the Daily Telegraph. He'd spoken to people inside the Bulldogs camp, and that was what came out of it, that they weren't happy with the communication from Reed Mahoney at hooker last week. So, and as it was pointed out last night, Reed Mahoney's been at the Bulldogs for 3 years, and all of a sudden there's a communication problem. All of a sudden, going into his last final series with the club in his last year before he joins the Cowboys, all of a sudden he has a communication problem. Apparently, it wasn't an issue for the last 3 years, was it?
Well, maybe he does have a communication problem in that he doesn't want to communicate with the players that support his sacking. No, it's nonsense. It doesn't make any sense. And even Bulldogs fans are struggling to justify it. You know, I talk about like the Bulldogs fans are so funny on their social media. They just can't even justify it, man. They can't. There'll be people saying this is crazy and basically overwhelming. It's like, yeah, I got nothing. Because there's always people who will complain about the Bulldogs and stuff and say how they're going, and you know, there's social media posts about like, you know, Ciraldo needs to be sacked, and there'll always be people defending it.
That is too extreme.
But you know, even stuff like, you know, the season's been derailed and all that kind of stuff, and people will defend it by saying, yeah, but we weren't building for one season, we're building for the future. They always have a justification. They'll always come up with something. Yeah. But this one, they just can't. I don't see anyone defending it, even coming up with any mental gymnastics to justify it. It is insane. I think I think we discussed last week, I think the downfall of the Bulldogs has, of course, started with Lachlan Garvin arriving. But it's just been really accentuated since Reed Mahoney has been dropped. Mm-hmm. And now is this what you really want? Who are they? They're going to Melbourne with a brand new dummy half combo.
Yeah, well, it'll be Bailey Hayward who will start at dummy half, and Toby Sexton now will be on the bench instead of Reed Mahoney. So, but another theory thrown up by Riccio last night on NRL 360, which were those quotes that you read, is that he actually thinks Sexton may not even play, and he's just there in case someone gets injured. It's just a pure... he's just purely there in case of injury. He may not even take any part in the game.
Well, even then, do you want to go down to... I mean, Melbourne have injury issues.
Yes, they do, yes.
They don't have... Pappenhausen's out, Jerome Hughes is out, and obviously...
And Nelson Asofa Solomona.
They still have a really good team. So you really want to be going down to Melbourne in the finals with a player on your bench that isn't going to play?
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? And I did a bit of a deep dive today, a bit of research. So Bailey Hayward started at hooker in 5 games. This has only just happened, like we've talked about. And Reed Mahoney's just gradually been shafted out of the team, went back to the bench, and now he's gone completely. So Bailey Hayward started at hooker in 5 games this season. The Bulldogs have won 2 and lost 3. Now, in those 5 games, when Hayward's been the hooker, their average score is 18 points per game. And what we need to keep in mind, which I've mentioned a few times, is that one of those games I'm talking about, they played against Penrith's New South Wales Cup team and scored 28 points. So we need to factor that in. 18 points a game in attack is not crash hot, and it's even more not crash hot when you think that one of the games that I'm talking about, they scored 28 points against a New South Wales Cup team. So their attack is not exactly singing from the rooftops with Bailey Hayward at hooker either.
Well, he's a better communicator, apparently.
Yeah, apparently he communicates better.
But doesn't successfully score arranged tries. Like it's just
and when
no way you can justify
and in that game that I'm talking about, the one where they beat the Penrith New South Wales Cup team, they were going nowhere in attack before Reed Mahoney came on the field. Reed Mahoney came on and sharpened up their attack. Without Reed Mahoney, they may not have even won that game. And that's the only game they've won in the last 4 games. That's the other point to make. In their last 4 games, they've only won one. This is terrible form going into the finals. They've only won 1 of their last 4 games, and it was against the Penrith New South Wales Cup team. So you can pretty much disregard it as far as form is concerned. If you're looking at a form line, you can't take into account that they beat a New South Wales Cup team. So in 4 games, their last 4, only 1 win, and Bailey Hayward was the hooker in all of those games.
Bulldogs fans have a right to be upset because of the sheer craziness. Like, they've gone from being second favourite to win the premiership to 5th favourite out of 8.
100%.
It's like 5th out of 8.
100%.
You know, the only teams that have less chance of winning the premiership are obviously the Warriors, because they are on a massive slide. They even lost on the weekend to who did they lose to? By 1 point, right? To the Sea Eagles.
Yeah, they lost to Manly. Yeah. Cherry Evans kicked that left foot field goal to win.
The Roosters, who just slid into the 8, just made it. And the Sharks, who can't win finals games.
That's the thing. Of the top 4 teams, they're now the least likely to win the premiership.
And you think about that, like, Panthers are like scaring everyone. They're ahead of the. They're ahead of the Bulldogs to win the premiership from 7th.
Mm-hmm.
From 7th.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that says it all, doesn't it?
Yeah. It doesn't matter who they are.
A team that's playing an elimination final this weekend is regarded as being more chance of winning the comp than a team that's not playing an elimination final, that's playing a qualifying final, that have a second bite of the cherry.
And it is based on this disruption that they've had, where they've killed their spine, disrupted the entire team. I'm really curious. I hope we get some interviews next year from people like Reed Mahoney and Toby Sexton. Obviously right now no one ever criticises their team when they're actually there.
No.
Except for Angel Reese. If anyone follows the WNBA, man, Angel Reese really hammered her own team. But wow, she got suspended for the first half of a game by her team because she really hammered her own team about how bad they are. She plays for them. No one ever does that in the NRL.
No. You can't do it.
Yeah, exactly.
You just can't do it.
Rock up the training on
Yeah, you can't.
But I'm really curious as to what's going to happen next year. What they're going to say next year when, Toby Sexton's going over to England and he's been saying, I trust in Gus and I know they've been really good to me and all this blah, blah, blah. Next year he's going to be over in England. They're going to go... They should go on a Brandon Smith podcast or something.
I think they both will. I think it may be quicker than we think. I think both of them will go on a podcast and they will spill the beans because once they've gone to their new club and settled into their new club, well, what do they care anymore?
Yeah.
They may as well let fly. And look, you can't really blame them. They've both been treated appallingly this season. But the halfback and hooker who've guided a team to be on top of the ladder for 13 rounds this season have just been shafted. And I know Toby Sexton's back, but it's not. He's not really back. It's not like he's back replacing Lachlan Galvin in the starting side. He's on the bench replacing Reed Mahoney, and there's even reports that he may not take any part of the game, and he's just there as an emergency player in case somebody goes down injured. Because what they'll do, if say one of the outside backs goes down injured, they have the advantage with Matt Burton. They can move him into the centres and bring someone like a Toby Sexton on in the halves to cover that. So that's the advantage they have with Matt Burton being so versatile. Now, there's a few other things I wanted to raise with you. Again, I think I've said it before, but Reed Mahoney's 27, Bailey Hayward's 24. Reed Mahoney's had 8 seasons of experience as an NRL hooker and took Parramatta to a grand final in 2022. Bailey Hayward has 5 games of experience as an NRL hooker. So I don't get it. I don't understand how you pick a player with 5 games of experience as an NRL hooker over a player with 8 seasons of experience who's taken a team to an NRL grand final in the position. Again, Reed Mahoney is only 3 years older than Bailey Hayward. He's 27, Hayward's 24. It's not like, as I said, it's not like Reed Mahoney's 35 and over the hill and Hayward's only 20. Reed Mahoney's only 3 years older than him. There's not that much difference in age between them.
Yeah, it's even to that, if Reed Mahoney was 32 in the hypothetical. If
even 32 is not that old.
And Bailey Hayward was 19 and the up and coming hooker.
Yeah.
When you're on top of the ladder, you don't change it.
Yeah, well, 32 these days, 32 is not that old in the game.
38, if he's 38. On his way out, retiring, and Bailey Hayward was like a 19-year-old up-and-coming gun. I don't know, who's that one that went to the Tigers or whatever?
Talon De Silva.
Yeah, that guy. Like, that guy's a young up-and-coming gun hooker.
Mm.
When you're 13 rounds in and you're coming first, you don't go, you know what we should do? We should replace this old man hooker who's going to be retiring at the end of the year anyway with a new young gun. Because, he's going to be retiring at the end of the year and we're on top of the ladder. That's the kind of thing when you're on the bottom of the ladder and you go, you know what, guys, we've got to make a big change. So, sorry, old man who's going to retire at the end of the year, we're going to drop you to Premier League and we're going to bring up this young gun guy. And Bailey Hayward isn't that young gun guy. He's, like you said, he's not that much younger. There's no reason to do it. And out of the Lachlan Galvin Toby Sexton thing, that was pretty bad. It was pretty bad. But they just gone to that extra step with what they're doing over there to Reed Mahoney.
Mm. And
it's nonsensical. It's not justifiable.
Yeah. And I'll tell you what you meant. You touched on there the Toby Sexton, Lachlan Galvin situation. I'll tell you what, these stats are widening now. Toby Sexton, 16 games for the Bulldogs this season as starting halfback. Won 12 games, 75% win record. Lachlan Galvin, 8 games as starting halfback this season, winning just 4 games, 50% win record. Aside from the Reed Mahoney, Bailey Hayward situation, apart from that, the rest of the team has stayed the same. So people who are saying, it's no big deal, I'm sorry, they had a 25% better win percentage with Toby Sexton at halfback than they've had with Lachlan Galvin at halfback. So I'm sorry, there's something in that. Yeah. 75% versus 50%, that's a huge difference in their win percentage.
Second favourite to win the competition in finals being fifth favourite, with a team from outside the top 8 going to win for the first time, second time ever? Outside the top 4, I mean.
So the Bulldogs did it in 1995. Yeah. They went from 6th to winning the premiership.
That was the only time ever, right?
Yeah.
So second time, for the second time only.
Yeah.
It's just there's no justification for it. The Bulldogs cannot come up with a reason for it because, I think we talked about this last week. At the end of the season, no one is going to care that they went better this year than they did last year. The only thing that matters is that they ruined their season.
Yeah. Yeah, so Serraldo's made a real rod for his own back because he's not going to get any credit for this season.
No.
If this goes the way it looks like it's going to go, which I'm sorry to say at the moment is that they're going to go out in straight sets, because if they lose to Melbourne, they're probably going to have to play Penrith, and that's danger signs, playing Penrith in a knockout semi. I hope I'm wrong, and look, that we should point that out as well, that this podcast will go up on Friday and the game will only be a matter of hours after this podcast goes up. So there is the possibility that they win the game on Friday night. And look, if they can do that, if they can win the game on Friday night, which is an if.
They get a rest, right?
They get a week off, and what I would say is the last 4 games where they've been terrible and only won one of them against the Penrith New South Wales Cup team, that'll be forgotten about if they can win that game against Melbourne, if they can somehow pull one out of the fire against Melbourne and win that game against the odds, everyone will forget about this horror last month of the season that they have had.
Yeah.
And we should point that out as well.
There was there has been many upsets over the course of this year, so no matter how much you think the Bulldogs can easily win, the Storm can easily win, this year has just been crazy. Well, just last week, the Titans avoided the wooden spoon.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned it. Those players that you mentioned, Jerome Hughes is out with injury, Ryan Pappenhausen is out with injury, and Nelson Solomon is suspended. So that's their chance here. The fact that Melbourne are under strength. If Melbourne were at full strength, it'd be real danger zone.
Yeah.
But the Bulldogs have their own injury problems though as well. Bronson Cherry, because he had that HIA last week, he's out of this game. Marcelo Montoya is also out injured. One upside though is that along with the highly publicised inclusion of Toby Sexton on the reserves list, who will be coming into the 17, Jacob Carraz is also on that reserves list, and so he is also a chance of coming into the 17. If he comes in, I think it certainly boosts their chances, those metres that he gets, getting them off their own line. He acts as an extra forward, Jacob Carraz.
Yeah. It's always like the Broncos beat Melbourne the other day.
They did?
I only had one person who tipped them. Well done, Sam.
Well, that's their chance. The fact that Melbourne are under strength with no Hughes, no Asofa Solomon, and no Pappenhausen.
Yeah, Hughes is a massive loss for the Storm, right? A massive loss. He really is like the underrated halfback of the league that doesn't get the dues simply because he doesn't play State of Origin. He's a Dally M.
Jerome Hughes, yes.
Yeah, Dally M medal-winning halfback. He is like really the linchpin in Melbourne's everything, their attack and defence. So that's a massive loss. Pappenhausen is all, it's just Melbourne as usual for the past few years. That loss isn't as big. And Solomona, he gets a lot of metres, but he also gives away a lot of penalties.
Yeah, Hughes is the big one.
Yeah.
Hughes, of the 3, Hughes is the one they're going to miss the most.
Yeah, absolutely. The good thing about the Bulldogs is no matter who they lose, it doesn't really matter who they replace them with because everybody does it. They've got 17 utilities in their team, right? So,
yeah, it does. These injuries to Cherry and Montoya, and look, the thing is, we don't know what's going to happen with Carraz. We don't know if he'll be back. I think, given that he's not in the 17, you just got to assume at this stage that he's not going to play until we hear otherwise.
Yeah.
So without those 3, Carraz, Cherry, Montoya, assuming Carraz doesn't play, it does weaken their backline a bit. Rina Kama's been recalled, which I like. Blake Wilson is on the wing. Tuala's gone to the centres. Look, Tuala was better last week, but I thought it was a stretch. Cameron Ciraldo saying he was their best player last week. That was a stretch. He still missed a tackle that led to a Cronulla try.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't go that far to say he was their best player. He did score their only try, but it was an against the run of play try. It was a good fortune try. Look, he still had to score it. I'll give him credit. He was better, still missed a tackle that led to a try, though, and I wouldn't go as far as to say that he was their best player last week.
Well, they got pumped by the Sharks, which was another unexpected one. You expected that game to be a little bit better than it was, but the Bulldogs looked all out of sorts. It's just because when Reed Mahoney came on the field, they went worse. The Bulldogs' losses don't add up to as big of a loss as Jerome Hughes for Melbourne, I think. especially if Alcaraz can make it back into the lineup. So, it's what are the odds right now
for this game?
Yeah, it's,
Melbourne this is with Sportsbet. This is according to NRL.com with Sportsbet. Melbourne are paying $1.49 to win. Canterbury are paying $2.63 to win.
Yeah, so that's pretty clear favourite, to be honest.
And how Reed Mahoney went on early against Cronulla unexpectedly. That's hard mentally as well. You're on the bench and you think you're probably only going to play the last 15 or 20 minutes of the game if you're lucky. And then all of a sudden, 5 minutes in, Bronson Cherry goes down and can't come back on, and so Hayward goes to the centres, and all of a sudden you're thrown in at hooker. I know he's had a lot of experience, but it'd be hard for anyone mentally sort of thinking in your head, I'm probably only going to get a short amount of game time. All of a sudden you're expected to play the last 75 minutes of the game at hooker.
Yeah. And he has only been getting like 10 minutes every week, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And isn't there part of you that sort of goes, if you think about Reed Mahoney and Toby Sexton, there's part of you that sort of goes, in terms of them recalling Toby Sexton, there's part of you that sort of thinks he should just say, I'm sorry, guys, you shafted me. Why should I help you? You got me going to another club next year. You sent me over to the Super League. You won't have me. You've shafted me when I took you to the top of the ladder. There's part of you that goes, and I know he would never do it, I understand that, but there's a part of you that goes, nah, sorry, I'm not helping you with this one, guys.
Yeah.
And same with, well, now Reed Mahoney's gone, so he's been shafted, so it doesn't really apply to him anymore. But, the podcast will be coming soon. Reed Mahoney and Toby Sexton, tune into their podcast as soon as they leave the club.
Yeah,
it'll be interesting.
I'm really interested to see it. Like, you don't often get a lot of guys criticise their past coaches or clubs that much.
But they may as well.
Yeah.
I mean, they may as well. They got nothing to lose. He's never going to have him back at the club. So I wouldn't blame them if they just tee off on him.
When it's really severe, they do. We've had guys criticise Michael Maguire this year. Obviously, Willie Mason talks crap about everyone he ever got coached by. Lachlan Galvin criticised Benji Marshall while he was at the club. I really want to see Reed Mahoney go on our podcast.
We should get him on. We should get both of them on.
Yeah.
That'd be a good podcast.
I'll ask if anyone knows him, actually. And then, we can do straight after the finals.
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
That'd be good for our viewer numbers.
Yeah, exactly. Still on the finals.
Yes.
So, earlier last week, Ricky Stewart had a big tantrum about, the normal time that the first we'll have to play will be on Friday, and it's not fair because we had to play on... What day did they play this week?
They played on Sunday.
We had to play on Sunday.
Yeah, even though they rested most of their players, but anyway.
And who are they playing? They're playing...
The Broncos.
The Broncos
on Sunday.
Broncos got to play on Thursday. It's not fair. Broncos get a longer break than us.
Yeah.
The Raiders are being shafted.
Yeah.
We worked really hard. We should get to pick our... the person who comes first should get to pick what day they... Or the team who comes first should get to pick what day they play on in the finals, and then you schedule it all around that, and blah, 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 and the NRL caved.
Yeah, it's unbelievable, isn't it? And talk about deep dives, I did another one today, and I look back at... So this final system that the NRL have right now, that started in 2012. It's been going for 13 years now, right? So I had to look back at... when's this 1v... So the Raiders came first, the Broncos came fourth, so they're in the 1v4 final here. So I had to look back at, when is this 1v4 final usually held on the first weekend? I've looked back at it, and so since 2012, since this new system's come in, the 1v4 final was either on a Friday or Saturday every year.
Yeah.
So because the Raiders are involved... And because Ricky Stewart needs special treatment from the NRL and all his mates in the media look after him, this year it happens to be on a Sunday. So Ricky Stewart is running the NRL final series now.
That's another one that there's no justification for it.
No.
There's no...
No.
Other people have had to do it.
Yeah, I know. And that was the other thing. This is the quote from Ricky Stewart was, "We have earned the right to pick when we play. We're minor premiers and we need the maximum turnaround as possible from the Sunday game." What? He said, and then he says that one extra day is what we deserve for being minor premiers. What? All the minor premiers going back to 2012 up until last year have had to play on Friday or Saturday in the first week, and they get to play on Sunday. And he says they've earned it because they're minor premiers. Every other minor premier since 2012 has had to play on Friday or Saturday in the first week of the finals.
Yeah, he's earned it because he didn't get the wooden spoon. You know, he's the greatest coach ever because he didn't get the wooden spoon, and everyone tipped him for the wooden spoon, including me. Yeah, there's no justification for it, right? Honestly, there's zero justification for the NRL to move it. And what I'd like to know from this one is, what are they going to do next year?
Yeah, so what happens next year if the Raiders don't win the minor premiership, if it's another club? Is that club going to be able to say, "Oh, well, we're the minor premiers, we deserve an extra day's rest"?
Yeah, they should. Well, I guess they should just have to move the minor premier game to Sunday forever from now on. I like the fact, like you said, he rested all the players anyway. They've already
they rested the players, and he's. No, I mean, again, that doesn't really matter here. But I get, they rested them anyway.
They've already had their rest.
They've had a rest. So I hope it backfires on them and that they've had too much rest now and that I hope Brisbane win that game.
What?
I hope this backfires on the Raiders because this is just rubbish. Ricky Stewart can't write the rules because his team won the minor premiership and decide what day they play in week one of the finals.
Would he have had... Well, obviously not. He wouldn't have had the same complaint if they played on Thursday and the Broncos played on Sunday. And the Broncos also wouldn't have had that complaint. You know? Broncos wouldn't have come out... Michael Maguire wouldn't have come out and said, "Oh, we came fourth. We earned the right to have that extra day's rest." And only because it's Ricky Stewart, and only because that's just where the cookie crumbled. Every other club and every other coach in the history of the game for 13 years in a modern system has just known that it's going to be Friday, Saturday. That's it. We all assume.
And never complained. Nobody else has complained about it.
It's just the way it is.
Yeah,
man.
and so that we saw it. We mentioned it last week. There was a journalist out there who was lobbying for this. So obviously Ricky got on the phone to this journalist and said, "You better say this about our turnaround after our last game going into the finals to sort of butter the NRL up here to let us play on a Sunday." And then the NRL would cave in. The NRL are just pathetic. They're just weak. They just roll over on these issues. And we're going to be talking about this Nicho Hynes situation in a sec. The NRL just fold. They just cave into people like Ricky Stewart all the time. And now it's even gone further, this issue. So now the NRL will have a Sunday afternoon game in the second week of the finals for the first time since the Cowboys beat the Warriors in 2007. The decision comes hot on the heels of the Raiders earning a Sunday game when it was feared the minor premiers would have to play on Saturday after a 6-day turnaround from their round 27 loss to the Dolphins. So what, now are they just going to reschedule and restructure the whole final series just because Ricky Stewart was upset about a turnaround in week one?
That's not fair.
No, all of it. The second week finals have been on Friday night and Saturday night, and now this year they're going to play one of them on a Sunday afternoon.
That doesn't make any sense.
No.
What?
No, it gets worse.
He just gets to do whatever he wants.
He's the Raiders coach and the NRL CEO. He's two jobs in one.
Oh my God. Let's talk about Nicho Hynes.
Yes.
So Nicho Hynes did a hip drop tackle. Getting really sick of the hip drop tackle, to be honest, because it's like now everything where a player tackles the legs and they're behind the other player is a hip drop tackle, apparently. Did you see the tackle? It wasn't so bad.
Yeah, it wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
It wasn't that bad.
And obviously, like I said, everything where they tackle from behind and it's around the legs or the hips, their hips, is a hip drop tackle. So he got put on report. He went to the judiciary. He was meant to miss how many games?
Yeah, so originally, under the original charge, if he'd taken an early plea, he would have missed their elimination final against the Roosters. But then, if you can believe it, they looked at it was Marcelo Montoya, the player that he made the tackle on, which anyway, Marcelo Montoya is the player he made the tackle on. And so they've looked at the medical report from Marcelo Montoya's injury. And they've gone, oh, look, this isn't as bad as we first thought, so now we'll downgrade your charge. And so they've downgraded his charge, and now Nicho Hynes is free to play against the Roosters. Might I add, Marcelo Montoya is not playing for the Bulldogs this week as a result of the tackle. But anyway, they've just made this a whole lot harder than it needed to be. As you said, it didn't look that serious. So just give him a light charge originally, or don't charge him at all in the first place. Don't give him a charge and then look at his medical report later on and then downgrade the charge as a result of it.
That's the thing about that, right? Actually, the injury outcome shouldn't have any effect on the charge at all.
No, that's the thing. I agree with that. Even though you can probably see my frustration, though, the fact that Hynes is playing and Montoya's not.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But I do agree with what you're saying, though.
Like, upgrade or downgrade. No, because, so there's a whole thing, with this, right, where, again, we go back to inconsistency. Okay, so next time, it's got to cut both ways, right? So next time, Nicho Hynes does exactly the same tackle, right? Or whoever, but we'll just say Nicho Hynes, on Marcelo Montoya. Exactly the same tackle, okay? And Marcelo Montoya, because he already has a slight sprain or something like that, tears his ACL and he's out for 12 months. Are they going to upgrade Nicho Hynes' charge?
You're right. It's a ridiculous process that the injury would be factored into it to the point where you're looking at the medical report from the player and then downgrading the charge. What has gotten into the NRL? Why is this being normalised by people? And people on TV during the week were saying things like, oh yeah, this is no big deal, we got the right outcome. What is wrong with you people? How can you adjust a judiciary charge based on the medical report from the player?
Yeah,
What's gotten into people? Is it just me, or is this the most ridiculous thing you've ever heard in your life?
It's so stupid because, now they have to do it every time. So
it's opened to Pandora's box.
Whenever you get charged, okay, no matter what it is, demand a medical report from the opposing player. There is no injury. I shouldn't be charged. Downgrade my thing.
And you'll also get a situation where, let's say it's two clubs who don't like each other, right? Like the Rabbitohs and the Roosters, for example. What's stopping the Rabbitohs from saying that an injury to their player as a result of a tackle from a Roosters player is more serious than it really is, so the Roosters player gets suspended for longer?
Exactly. You can't judge it. People get injured differently. There is a whole thing to that, okay, where some people will be injured worse than others in the same circumstance. So you actually can't take into account how bad the injury is in these circumstances because of that. In the exact same tackle on someone else, it could have been a broken ankle, and that ends the career of that. Like Taniela Tuiaki broke his ankle and ended his career, right? If you remember, the Tigers winger, he broke his ankle and it ended his career. If Nicho Hynes was to, a different player broke his ankle that badly, broke both the bones or something in his lower leg, what is it, the tibia and the fibula bones, are they going to upgrade Nicho Hynes' charge? Because if they're not, then they can't downgrade it because it wasn't that bad an injury. That's just the way it is. That's how fairness and consistency works.
I just can't believe the NRL don't see any issue with doing this. It's just so wrong on so many levels to operate in this way, to adjust to have this sort of process, this ridiculous process.
They need to get rid of the lawyers and all this nonsense. It's really actually crazy to me that it's, the judiciary panel is usually an ex-footballer, an ex-coach, and whatever, a pundit or a journalist or something, three dudes. And then the club rocks up with the player and a lawyer. And sometimes super high-priced lawyers that the club is paying for. Yeah. And then the these people, that whoever the judiciary panel are not qualified to actually hear evidence from a lawyer. You know what I mean? Like, the lawyers are really like basically able to run rings around these guys because they're a lawyer and they know how to argue nonsense.
Yeah, if I was the Bulldogs, I don't know why they're helping Cronulla. I don't know.
Yeah.
Why?
They're both going into the final.
Yeah, if Cronulla are saying, and I heard somebody suggest, well, do the Bulldogs want Hynes to play because they want the Roosters to be knocked out? But that doesn't make any sense because they're on opposite sides of the draw.
Yeah.
The Bulldogs, the Bulldogs are on the side of the draw of the Panthers and the Warriors. The Roosters and the Sharks are on the side of the draw of the Raiders and the Broncos. Yeah. So that they're on other sides of the draw. So I don't understand why would they care enough to want Nicho Hynes to play, so to make it harder for the Roosters to win. The Roosters are not going to make the grand final. I'm sorry. They're not going to come from 8th to make the grand final. Look, they're a decent side, but they're not that good.
Yeah.
Penrith could do it.
Yeah.
The Roosters can't do it. So why would the only way the Bulldogs would play the Roosters would be in the grand final. So why would they care that much? They should have just not helped Cronulla at all.
That kind of thought process has obviously not followed the full thought process, right? Like, does anyone who thinks that, do they think Cameron Serrato sat down and mapped out every finals possibility and went, it's possible that we could actually end up playing the Roosters or the Sharks, so we want to make sure the Sharks beat the Roosters. Like,
Look, this is the thing, right? Upsets happen, right? But most likely Melbourne beat the Bulldogs, right? And so the Bulldogs lose, and then they play the winner of Penrith and the Warriors. So whereas the Roosters play the loser of the... If the Roosters beat the Sharks, they would play the loser of the Raiders and the Broncos.
Yeah.
So they're on opposite sides of the draw here.
That's like you said, the only way they'd meet is if it was in the grand final. And you know how much has to go in different probabilities to get to the grand final. There is absolutely no way the Bulldogs sat down and went, we want to make sure that the Sharks have the superior ability to get to the grand final.
No, I think Cameron Serraldo's got bigger things to worry about than whether the Sharks are going to beat the Roosters or not with Nicho Hynes or without Nicho Hynes. I think he's got enough on his plate at the moment.
Beat the Roosters.
That was a wild theory that got thrown out there that I think we need to debunk.
We got to get Nicho Hynes in because we want him to beat the Roosters and then the Raiders or Broncos. And then
I'm pretty sure Nicho Hynes playing is not going to change the course of the final series.
They have to be the Raiders or Broncos and then the Panthers or Warriors. We want to keep Nicho Hynes in there because they need to beat the Roosters,
I think
the Raiders or Broncos.
I think you said that the Sharks and the Roosters are obviously... I think they're even less chance than the Bulldogs of winning the comp.
Massively lower.
So, those two teams are not going to be deciding the
Sharks are the Warriors are the least favourite and the Sharks are the second least.
And the Roosters are the third least, right? Yeah. So they come on. Cameron Serraldo's not thinking about the Sharks-Roosters game.
It's just...
Seriously.
It's just another bizarre decision over the Bulldogs.
I'm not happy what Cameron Serraldo's doing with his team. But come on, there's not a conspiracy where he's trying to have Nicho Hynes play so that the Roosters get knocked out because he's worried about playing the Roosters.
Yeah.
Like, come on. That's complete madness.
He'd prefer to
Seriously.
Seriously, yeah. What possible ongoing outcomes over the course of the next 4 weeks would benefit the Bulldogs where the Sharks beat the Roosters?
Yeah, but this situation where they've adjusted the charge for a player because of the medical report. This is a load of nonsense. I can't believe more people haven't spoken out against it. It's another example. It's like the Ricky Stewart with the finals that we just talked about. It's another example of the NRL just making things up as they go. They just make things up on the run. It's a make it up as we go governance of the game.
You get charged for what you do on the field, not for what the outcome of what you do on the field is, right?
Yeah.
So
that's why the medical report should have been irrelevant.
Yeah, the charges for the hip drop tackle, again, I don't think it was a hip drop tackle, but the charge was for a hip drop tackle. The charge is not for a hip drop tackle that causes X level of injury that puts the opposing player out for that many weeks.
But they just make things so hard for themselves. Wouldn't it have been a lot easier to either not charge him at all or give him the light charge in the first instance, rather than giving him the heavier charge, waiting for a medical report and then changing the charge?
No, it's...
They've created a bunch of headaches for themselves by doing that.
Yeah, it's not...
They've made life really hard for themselves, the NRL.
No, so...
They really dig themselves into holes all the time at the NRL.
Yeah, it's... old mate, what's his name? Peter Vlandis. I think it's really funny actually, because if you go back through, the last 25 years of rugby league, they had like David Gallop, Todd Greenberg. I don't know before that.
Dave Smith might have been in there somewhere.
Dave Smith, the banker guy, and those guys cop so much criticism all the time, like the public facing. The Peter Vlandis and Andrew Abdo era, it's very rare for them to get, like, personally.
Yeah.
Like, now what kind of tends to happen is the NRL gets criticised. The NRL has an issue where it used to be David Gallop's fault, or Dave Smith's fault, or Todd Greenberg's fault. Now it's the NRL's fault.
That's a fair point. Maybe Peter Vlandis is giving these journos some racing tips or something, and so they leave him alone.
Yeah, probably scared of him. Maybe he looks like the kind of guy in Birdie, so maybe they're all just scared of him. So it's a little bit weird, but they should not have. The medical reports should have nothing to do with charges.
Yeah, it's just and that's just so basic. We've just worked that out ourselves, just sitting here today. But the NRL have gone and overcomplicated this whole situation.
Exactly.
It's totally unnecessary.
Yeah, it's dumb. So Panthers are off to Auckland.
Yes.
For the Warriors. Warriors are going to do... Every single time the Warriors have a home final, there's always, like, what the Warriors are going to do to the opposing team. I remember when the Roosters... It's so rare. The Roosters went over to New Zealand for the final in, like, whenever the hell it was, 2009 or whatever, when Brad Fittler was there. And they played like a blackout where the entire fan base, everyone in the crowd was wearing black. And Brad Fittler actually said it was the most intimidating thing he's ever seen. To rock up and there's like 30,000 New Zealanders all dressed in black. But so the Warriors fans have talked nonsense on the media, on social media, about how they're going to distract the Panthers while the Panthers are trying to... This is just silliness. Didn't we have a conversation like this earlier in the year about the Tigers and Lachlan Galvin as well?
Yeah, I think we did. The Panthers have notified the NRL that a Warriors fan page on Facebook is encouraging supporters to make a scene outside Penrith's team hotel in Auckland to disrupt their preparations for the elimination final. According to the Sydney Morning Herald, an unofficial Warriors fan page on Facebook has urged its 35,000 members to cause chaos outside the Pullman Hotel in Auckland, where the Panthers team are staying, in the very early hours of Saturday morning, of course, with the game on Saturday evening, to distract the Premiers, who will be doing battle with the Warriors later that day. The page on Facebook is titled New Zealand Warriors Till I Die and is a private supporter group.
I was just reading the post. Fireworks, burnouts and screaming outside the hotel is highly recommended any time between 1 and 4 a.m. on Saturday.
Far out.
And then 3 items on the list published on the Facebook page included egging the coach box. Bring eggs into the game and egg the Panther coach box.
Yeah.
Pitch invaders as a last resort. If a Panthers are on attack and we're a man or two short on D, feel free to jump on the field and get into the defending line.
Seriously.
I don't think any of that's going to happen. That just sounds like kind of a tongue-in-cheek post, but still, like, it's like...
Yeah.
Every single time anyone goes to New Zealand for a final, there's a big news article about what's going to happen while you're there. It's like, because it is kind of intimidating, right?
Well, it's like, is this what you got to do to put an end to a premiership streak of 4 premierships in a row? Is this what they're going to resort to bring an end to it?
On the sly, pretty much, I reckon every single NRL fan aside from Panthers fans, are actually like, yeah, I hope they do that.
Well, look, I hope the Warriors win because, as we said, if we think the Bulldogs are probably going to lose to the Storm. Don't know for sure, of course. Upsets happen. We think they're going to lose to the Storm, and so they would play the winner of the Panthers and Warriors. I'd much rather play the Warriors in Sydney than play the Panthers in Sydney.
100%. Yeah. Absolutely.
So I'm going for the Warriors.
I don't have a team for the finals. I haven't picked one.
Oh, you're welcome to jump on the Bulldogs train.
The wife will insist I get on the Bulldogs train.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm just too down on the Bulldogs. I don't want to support a team that I just have no. In my mind, I just don't think they can win at all.
Yeah, well, yeah.
And now I worry that.
Or is it because of the treatment of Sexton and
yeah, well, that's what I mean. Like they've just ruined the team culture, everything. I just have no.
Whereas if they hadn't done that, maybe you would have been more.
I don't want Broncos to win because gross. I don't want the Raiders to win because Ricky Stewart. I don't want the Sharks to win because they're the Sharks and they're my natural born enemy. I wouldn't mind the Warriors. I might jump on the Warriors actually, but you know they're not going to win.
that's the problem. The ones you want to win, they're not going to win.
Yeah, the Warriors are like the fairy tale, finally get that premiership,
Yeah, and it's 30 years since they came in the comp. They came in 1995, so...
Are they the last ones?
Well, the Titans haven't won one. They came in 2007. I mean, the Dolphins have only just come in, so you can't really expect them to have won one yet. But yeah, Titans and Warriors, no premierships.
Oh, so yeah, the Warriors are the longest.
But the Warriors are the longest without one.
Yeah.
Oh. Of the teams who haven't won one.
Yes, because
Parramatta 1986.
yeah. Even the Sharks have had one, boys. Come on, you Para.
Woke up this morning after 2 hard training sessions. Oh my God, I have so much washing, and boy, does it sting! But luckily, I have Gourami Cleaning Courage Gear Guard, Clear the Funk, proud sponsor of SmartB. I've tried all of the ones that are around, and they're the ones that I suggest. They leave my clothes after training smelling like nothing. They don't do this thing where they smell like chemicals or flowers, and they don't advertise themselves as being a washing powder replacement. Instead, you add 1 cupful to your laundry, and off you go. Head to GouramiCleaning.co and buy yours now. GearGuard is a proud sponsor of the SmartB Sports Update.
And, over to the Ashes, which is in end of October to November. It'll be a 3-game series in England. Mm-hmm. The matches are at like bloody 4 in the morning or something annoying like that. Yes. Latrell Mitchell has notified new Australian coach Kevin Walters that he won't be available.
Yeah, so this is interesting. Our old friend returns to the podcast here, Latrell. Latrell Mitchell will reportedly withdraw from selection for the Ashes tour. That's according to Code Sports, who are reporting his back and neck injury requires him to avoid contact training for at least 4 weeks. Mitchell's been sidelined with that injury since round 23, having managed only 11 games for South Sydney in a disappointing campaign. Now, interestingly, the superstar fullback will also miss out on the Curry knockout in Tamworth in 3 weeks, joining a long list of potential centres who are now unavailable for Kangaroo selection. Now, can I take you back to October 2023 when Latrell Mitchell was deemed unavailable for the Kangaroos, didn't play for the Kangaroos in the Pacific Championships that year due to a finger injury, but he played in the Curry knockout when he was supposed to be out injured for Australia. He couldn't play for Australia.
I wonder if he's going to play for the Curry knockout. There's a lot of people unavailable for that Ashes, and also Payne Haas notably recently withdrew his Australian eligibility and will be playing for Samoa. That's probably because Payne Haas and Kevin Walters didn't get along, but I wonder if there's anything behind that for Latrell Mitchell as well. Obviously, England is not a good team anymore. They were good, when England is, they keep calling England a tier 1, tier 8, whatever this stupid tier thing is.
Yeah.
England were good back when they were like England, Ireland, Scotland and Wales. And when they started to broaden the word to make bigger World Cups and stuff like that, and England became England, Ireland, Scotland and Wales, they became a lot worse. Mm. So even with probably like our 3rd tier centres and no Payne Haas, you would have to expect it's going to be a 3-game series whitewash over in England.
You'd have to think so, yeah.
I don't have any faith that England can actually win. You know, England. I was at a game where England beat Australia in an international back when they were like actually a top tier team.
I thought they were really good, sort of about that 2003, that time where they really pushed Australia. I remember there were a few tests in England back then where it took like a Darren Lockyer or a Brett Camorley to get Australia home like right at the death, right at the end of the game. But England really competed well at that time. Not so much these days though.
No, it really was when they I think when they just really like wanted to expand the countries and just then they made like Ireland, Scotland, Wales became bigger international teams. So some of those English players went and started playing for Ireland, Scotland, and Wales, and it really like lowered the quality of the English team and moved them out of that top tier squad. They threaten nothing these days, man. Like they really threaten nothing.
No, but yeah, this will be. This is interesting. Of course, our Latrell's out injured, not playing for Australia. But yeah, remember 2023 was out injured for Australia, but played in the Koori knockout.
Is he going to play?
So keep your eyes on the Koori knockout, everybody. Let's see if he is smart enough to sit out this time. Like even if he should have just been. Him or people around him at that time should have just been smart enough to go, just don't play in that. Yeah. It's going to cause you all sorts of grief because you pulled out injured for Australia. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with the Koori knockout in a few weeks' time. Yeah, so whether he plays or not.
Yeah, well, I wonder if Josh Addo-Carr's going to play in the Koori knockout this year after last year.
Yeah, well, he had that incident. I'm not sure what year it was, but remember he had that... Year. Was it last year where he punched someone?
Yeah, he got knocked out, right?
Look, I thought it was it may have been last year or the year before, but yeah, there was an incident at the Koori knockout where 1 year, I can't remember the year, but he punched someone, I'm pretty sure.
It was 2023. Yeah. So same year that
Latrell played in the Koori knockout when he was out injured for Australia.
Yeah. That's it for rugby league over the week. We did have another story, but then they changed in the while Dan was on the way here.
Yeah, there was an update, so we had to make a late.
Loza got in a lot of trouble for saying he was going to go play at Manly.
I did remove that from our rundown once I saw your email.
But what I was going to say, the American Open, the US Open finished.
Yes.
And Carlos Alcaraz has overcome Jannik Sinner in the final. It's very interesting, right? Like, those guys go back and forth.
Yeah.
You know?
100%.
Unlike in the olden days when we had those top players, I think we talked about a few weeks ago, where it was like, Federer won everything, and then Nadal won everything, and then Djokovic won everything. This one is a little bit more even. Someone was I watched an interview with, I think it was, with Jannik Sinner, and one of the questions was, when it was Federer and Nadal, a reporter asked Roger Federer, do you prefer to play Nadal or hope Nadal is out in the finals? And Roger Federer answered, of course I prefer Nadal not to make it. And, what's the same question? And Jannik Sinner gave, a really diplomatic response about how, of course I want to play the best. Mm-hmm. But, it's of course I also want to play an easier match. It was a good match, though,
Yeah. Donald Trump, am I allowed to mention his name?
Yeah.
He was in attendance. He attended the match. I wasn't sure if I should mention his name because I know we've had issues with mentioning it.
Influence the election.
He was there. President Trump
definitely
seemed to, and apparently he didn't. They put the camera on him when Alcaraz had won, and he had a stern look on his face. He wasn't. He didn't clap or anything. Wasn't happy that Alcaraz won, so he must have been going for Jannik Sinner. I think. We'd have to disagree here. I think we're glad that Alcaraz got the win over.
No, I prefer Alcaraz to win. Yeah.
Well, yeah,
I disagree with Donald Trump
because of
crowd. But he got booed during the national anthem. Wrong crowd. Totally wrong crowd for him.
Yeah, New York's not Trump territory, right?
When he goes to the UFC, he gets cheered. When he goes to the NFL, he gets cheers. You don't go to the tennis and get cheered, bro. Not you, Donald Trump. Sorry.
Yeah, but interesting. Jannik Sinner and Carlos Alcaraz. You talked about it, how they split the majors. So every major in the last 2 years, 2024 and 2025, has gone to either one of them. They've shared them. It's 4 apiece over that time in the last 2 years. Sinner won the Australian Open in 2024. Alcaraz won the French Open. Alcaraz won Wimbledon in 2024. Sinner won the US Open. Sinner won the Australian this year. Alcaraz won the French. Sinner won Wimbledon this year. Alcaraz won the US.
It's funny because
they've split them.
You know, not only have they split the majors, they split the individual majors as well, right? So Sinner won the US Open last year. Alcaraz wins the US Open this year.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. and Alcaraz, and so Sinner, the 4 majors I just talked about that Sinner won, those are his total number of majors won. But Alcaraz, of course, has 2 more majors. He also won Wimbledon in 2023. He beat Novak Djokovic in the final, and he also won the US Open in 2022. So Alcaraz, if you can believe it, already has 6 majors to his name at the age of 22. Unbelievable.
Man, yeah.
What a start to his career. So, yeah, it seems like... I know it might feel as though these two are on the way to catching the big 3, but when you think about it, it's going to take them a long time. Like, let's say they split them 2 each.
Yeah, that's the problem, right?
So, say they split them 2 each for the next 4 years. So Alcaraz would be on, so that would be 8 more for him, so he'd be on 14. And Sinner would be on 12, because that would be 8 more for him over that time. So even then, so that's 4 years away. So Alcaraz would be 26, Sinner would be 28.
Oh yeah.
So you know, like a lot can happen in that time.
Yeah.
You know, someone else can come along. I think it's easy after this to go, oh, these guys are going to catch the big 3. I don't know about that though.
No,
there's a long way to go here.
You got to also remember those big 3, like you just said. They went through periods where they were actually the big one. You know, you had Roger Federer just won everything, and then Nadal started to win some.
Yeah.
And then Nadal won everything.
Yeah.
And then Djokovic started to win some.
Yeah.
And Djokovic just won it. And then when Nadal and Djokovic weren't there, Federer got an extra one.
Yeah, you're right. So they had periods where they owned the stage.
Yeah.
And these two haven't had that because they've been sharing the stage.
Yeah, exactly. So you could say, like, it is a different timeline for Alcaraz and Sinner to just sit there to, get the 25 or whatever it is. But Djokovic, unfortunately, obviously didn't make it. He got knocked out in the semi-finals for the 50th time in the past 2 years. Yeah,
so he's lost in the semis at all 4 majors this year, Novak Djokovic. Lost in straight sets to Carlos Alcaraz in the semis. And look, I'm just thinking, I was just going to throw this up, I'm just thinking that is now the right time for him to retire, because we've talked about it so many times on the podcast. You've said it a number of times that it really affects your legacy if you go too long and don't retire at the right time. I just feel like now is the time to go. If he goes now, you can't say he went on too long because he's made the semis at every major this year. My fear is that he will keep going until he gets to a point where he's getting knocked out in the early rounds of majors, and I don't want to see that happen.
No.
I'd rather him go now while he's still making semi-finals.
Like, it's obvious he's not a chance to win another...
No, while Sinner...
as Sinner and Alcaraz are there.
Yeah.
So it was the same with Federer, right? He had no chance of winning another major while Djokovic and Nadal were there. And then, I think it was during COVID, right, when he won the Australian Open? Federer got that extra one.
It was 2018, I'm pretty sure he won the Australian Open, so it was before COVID,
Yeah, and then it was because Nadal and Djokovic weren't there, right?
I need to look that up now. What I think happened was at that time, that was when Novak Djokovic went through a real form slump.
Yeah, he
went through a 2-year form slump.
He got knocked out in the semi-final or something. That's the only way he's going to be able to win.
So Federer's last major was the 2018 Australian Open. So at that time Djokovic was going through a 2-year form slump, which he didn't come out of until Wimbledon that year, where he won Wimbledon that year, and then he was Djokovic again after that.
So this is the thing, right? Federer was able to win basically kind of because, Nadal didn't play in that one, I'm pretty sure, and Djokovic got knocked out in the semi-finals, or even earlier. But, Federer had to have everything fall perfect for him. The problem with Djokovic now is Alcaraz and Sinner are always going to be on the other ends of the bracket. So Djokovic is actually really has to rely on other people to knock both of them out.
Yeah.
You know, he's relying, or one of them has to be away and someone has to knock it out.
Yeah, and it's not one player, it's two players.
Yeah.
He needs that to happen.
Exactly.
That's
So
a
he
lot
needs
to hope for.
One of them to not play and someone else to knock the other one out is kind of the thing that he's hoping for. And maybe, he's hoping for that, but like just sitting there and hoping for that is not a way to end your legacy anyway. Like getting that's the thing. Like Federer just got that extra one out of luck. It's not, people don't really rate that last Federer.
But that's the thing, like Federer, he went on for a while. Like that was 2018, his last major. He didn't retire until about 2022.
Yeah.
So he went on a long time after that. That's where I think like Djokovic has gone 2 years now without a major win. Again, made the semis in every major this year. So I just think this is the perfect time to go. We're at the end of the season. The US Open's finished now. We're at the end of the season of majors. I just think it's the perfect time. And I love a well-timed retirement.
Because you don't want to have this situation where, like winning a major is a major thing, right? And Roger Federer won 20?
Yes.
20, right? So his 20th one to break that 20 was a major in which he didn't have to face Djokovic and Nadal. So some, especially fringe casual tennis players don't rate that one as highly because of that. He won another major and he got to 20, but, he did that last one without having to face Djokovic and Nadal. And you don't want that will tarnish Djokovic's legacy as well. If he just potters along going to the semi-finals, getting knocked out, and then finally gets another one because Sinner's injured and Alcaraz gets knocked out randomly by someone else or also doesn't play, is that what he really want his legacy to be? I got that extra one only because those other guys aren't there.
Yeah, and look, it's hard to see that happening. They're just, those two are just so far clear of everyone else now. And that's the thing, Alcaraz beat him in straight sets. He's not getting close to Alcaraz now like he was. I think I mentioned that Wimbledon final in 2023 when Alcaraz beat him. Pretty sure that was a 5-set thriller.
Yeah.
So now we've gone from those 5-set thrillers a couple of years ago to now getting wiped off the court in straight sets.
So, in reality, I guess Djokovic would need both of those guys to be out of a tournament to win.
Yeah.
And does he really want that to be it?
He'll take it. If he can win one, he'll take it. But I know what you're saying. It's not the same if you're not having to beat the two best players in the world.
That's it, your achievements in all sports are better if you have to beat the best. They're higher rated if you have to beat the best. If you're relying on someone being out, in the UFC, John Jones used to be argued about as the greatest of all time. I never thought he should be considered because of the drug cheating, right? Mm-hmm. And he's really tarnished his legacy because he got the heavyweight belt from. He fought Francis Ngannou was the heavyweight champion of the world. John Jones was moving from light heavyweight to heavyweight. And it took him 3 years or 2 years, and he didn't fight in that time. And then there was all this back and forth about whether he should fight Ngannou, and there's all these rumors about how he was asking for Deontay Wilder money, which is $30 million. And, UFC guys get $5 million at most, right?
Yeah.
And then Ngannou left the UFC and moved to the PFL. And a week later, it was announced that John Jones would be fighting for the heavyweight belt.
Yeah.
And so he fought Cyril Gane, who was the previous challenger, and he beat Cyril Gane in a minute. And people didn't go, oh, look how good John Jones is. He pumped Cyril Gane in a minute. It took Francis Ngannou 5 rounds, and it was a decision. They went, John Jones ducked Ngannou. That's it, the guy is a double champ.
Yeah.
Heavyweight champion of the world, light heavyweight champion of the world, most title defenses at light heavyweight. What is he, 21 and 1, and he's 1 losses from a disqualification. And his legacy is, bro ducked Ngannou. He's a heavyweight champion of the world. Yeah, only because he ducked Ngannou. That's the thing. And Djokovic should look at himself like that. Does he want to keep playing through and luck into that major where Sinner and Alcaraz kind of both have to be injured? Because on his day, Djokovic can beat anyone in the world, pretty much except for Sinner and Alcaraz.
Yeah, that's it. He's not ranked number 3. I'll look up the rankings and tell you where he's ranked in a second. But he's not ranked number 3, Djokovic. But if you were doing a pecking order he's number 3.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you had a major with...
Yeah, he's number 4. Djokovic, Zverev's number 3.
Yeah.
But if you're doing come on,
you would expect Djokovic to beat Zverev.
If you're doing real rankings, Djokovic is number 3.
Ranking is based on points. If you're doing media rankings, like you say Djokovic should beat Zverev, right? So does Djokovic really want to be that guy that, I won an extra major, and everyone can go, but bro, Alcaraz and Sinner were both out injured. Come on, man.
How's this? Check this out. Alcaraz, 11,540 points. Jannik Sinner, 10,780. Zverev, 5,930. Djokovic, 4,830.
They got more than double the points.
They're so far in front, those two. So far in front. And I would hate for Djokovic to... I just don't want to see him go on too long here. Like if he goes now, he hasn't stayed too long. He's still made the semis of every major.
End of the year.
Now's the time to go.
He's done all 4 majors this year. He played all 4.
Yeah, made the semis at all of them.
All 4. And it's the end of the year, going into summer, good time summer for Australia or whatever, but good time to relax, Christmas, blah, blah, announce your retirement, probably. Yeah. And then that's it. And no one will ever say say anything bad about it. Yeah. I know I always say it sucks. Like you look at guys in MMA like BJ Penn fought 8 fights in a row and lost 8 fights in a row after being champion across 2 divisions and one of the greatest of all time, but everyone just remembers him getting heel hooked in like a minute by Ryan Hall on his way out. Anderson Silva was one of the greatest of all times on his way out. Even people like Israel Adesanya, who were the greatest, middleweight of all time, people would say. Yeah. He's started to lose so often that it's just, it's time to finish. Yeah. And that's what people will look at. And it is important to these guys, man. It is important to them.
And even someone like, to continue on fight sports, but someone like a Conor McGregor talking about coming back, come on, man.
No, he's up. Yeah, so he ruined his legacy, right?
Yeah.
He's another one because he went out first champ in UFC history. Now there's about 480 of them. Went and fought Floyd Mayweather for money, and then came back and was 1-3.
McGregor.
Yeah. So 3-1. Yeah. 3 losses.
Because he had that fight against.
1-3. He won against.
Was it Khabib?
Yeah, he got smashed by Khabib. Yeah. Beat Donald Cerrone in 40 seconds. And Donald Cerrone's like a journeyman, never champion, nothing like that. And then got bashed by Dustin Poirier twice. He ruined his legacy. He could have gone into the wilderness with his $1 billion. Yeah. And just being the first champion in the history. Well, people would have always gone he never defended or whatever. But bro, guy won 2 belts. Yeah,
no one ever gets it 100% perfect, right?
Yeah. Now all you do is remember him as the guy broke his leg twice on Dustin Poirier and said, "Your wife's in me DMs."
Could have rode off into the sunset with that $1 billion. But Federer and Nadal, they both went on too long. Yeah, Djokovic hasn't yet.
Yeah, I don't think Djokovic should.
If Djokovic were to retire now, he would not be in the same boat as them in that regard, because he made the semis at every major this year. But now's the time to go. Go when there's a bit left. Don't wait till you're getting knocked out in the first or second round of majors.
Yeah, now is the absolute perfect time.
Yes.
Semi-finals in all 4 majors. Yeah. I now know that I am...
Yeah, he knows he won't win another one.
What he can do it as is, what I would understand it and people would understand it now is he's kind of passing the torch now, if he goes now.
Yeah, 100%.
Because I made the semi-finals in all of them. I now understand these 2 guys have surpassed me. They've overtaken me. Because I am old. If he keeps playing, he's just going to look desperate, and it'll just look sad. And I love him or hate him, personality-wise or whatever. No matter what, tennis especially because it's a one-on-one sport. Statistics make goats, and Djokovic is the goat. Okay,
100%.
One-on-one sports, it's only statistics that make goats.
Yeah.
In team sports, you can argue whether Andrew Johns or Jonathan Thurston was better, and Darren Lockyer or Wally Lewis and
Alan Langer.
The people around them made them that good and all that kind of stuff. One-on-one sport, you can't argue any of that stuff.
Yeah,
right?
Because it's there for you. Yeah, you don't have to argue. The stats are there.
You can have the things like Jonathan Thurston won more Dally M's than Andrew Johns. It's but there were better players in the period when Andrew Johns was there. All that kind of nonsense. Whenever there's a team sport, but one-on-ones, it's just statistics, man.
Yeah. 24 majors is more than 20 majors or 22 majors.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's it. He's broken
That's
every
the way it
record.
works.
Broken every record.
More time at world number one.
Yep, and was it took number? I think he recovered number one more than anyone else. All this nonsense, like every record, most except for things like what is it? Federer had the 8 at 1, and Nadal had the
Yeah, it was Wimbledon. Federer's got more. I'm pretty sure Federer has 8 Wimbledon titles.
Yeah.
Djokovic only has 7.
Yeah.
But that's about the only record I can think of where Federer still has it over Djokovic.
And so he can just go now, and everyone will remember him forever as the GOAT.
Yeah, it's the right time to go. I hope he gets the retirement right, because we've seen so many examples. And Federer and Nadal were both examples of players going on too long, and I don't want him to make the mistake that they made.
Yeah, you don't want to be an Andy Murray Djokovic. You want to be Novak Djokovic.
No, Andy Murray is a prime example of what we're talking about. Don't be Andy Murray and play for 6, 7, 8 years too long. Seriously.
It was too long.
Yeah.
Retired and come back. You're just going to check that. Federer has 8.
Yeah, I'll check that. Federer does have 8 Wimbledon titles, and I'll check Djokovic's Wimbledon titles. Yeah, Djokovic has 7, yeah.
So, see, in the NRL, it's the teams with the 2 best defence have won every premiership in the NRL or something like that.
And the Bulldogs have the best defence.
It's 1 or 2, like either first or second best defence. The Bulldogs and Storm are actually like, if that continues.
I remember earlier in the I mentioned it last week. There were consecutive games where the Bulldogs held teams to 0 earlier in the season. The Rabbitohs and the Knights. That's the thing. So that stat is skewed. It's a bit misleading because the Bulldogs are the number 1 defensive team. But that stat is skewed towards the start of the season. That was when they were defending their best.
Yeah.
That stat is far more a reflection on the first half of the season than on the second half of the season.
I want my prediction to be true. Storm v Bulldogs.
Yeah, you want it to happen. I mean,
that's what I want. I'm manifesting that.
I think if the Bulldogs are going to make the grand final, they have to win tomorrow night.
Yeah, 100%.
If they lose tomorrow night, they're not making the grand final.
They'll go out of straight.
That's a huge game in terms of the makeup of the finals. That game, that Storm Bulldogs game is massive. If the Bulldogs lose that game, they can't win the comp. Even though they get a second chance, they're gone if they lose to the Storm.
I'll have to play Penrith.
Because, they'll have to play Penrith. Even if they get through Penrith, then they'll most likely have to... Well, you think the Raiders probably would beat the Broncos?
I don't trust the Raiders to win.
Well, either way, right? So either way, they'd either have to beat the Raiders in Canberra or the Broncos in Brisbane in week 3 if they lose to the Storm.
Yeah.
They beat the Storm, they get that home final in week 3. So that's huge, that Bulldogs-Storm game tomorrow night.
Yeah.
Huge.
Yeah, exactly. All right, that's it for the week. See how the Bulldogs go tomorrow. Don't forget to go to OptimumCBD.store for all your CBD needs and GarameCleaning.co for your gear guard. And make sure you play smart, play through the finals. $100 gift card for the highest scoring individual match in the AFL and the NRL. And still giving away bonus coins to play in the Smart Coin matches to all the people who score the most. So play as many games as you can. Asia Cup is also up there if you're in cricket. Asia Cup is, you know what the Asia Cup is? I was talking to a bunch of Indian guys today. It is just an excuse for India to get another trophy. You should check the odds on these matches. All of the matches are, one team is playing $1 and 1, and the other team is paying $61 to win.
That's another meaningless, nothing tournament that no one cares about.
So nonsense. Hong Kong. I like have you seen the Hong Kong team full of guys who are clearly from Hong Kong, like Mohammed Sharif. Just a ridiculous tournament. The Asia Cup is also up on Smart Play for all of our cricket fans. Some people are playing. That's it for the week. Have a good weekend, Dan. Good luck to the Broncos and up the Waz.
Catch you next week, John. Go the Dogs.